Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Career Talks podcast. I'm your host, as always, Orlando Haynes. Again, super excited. I just bring fire in the talent and the people I bring to the platform to share their expertise. And tonight, I continue to not sell these people short. But first, let me just thank tonight's sponsor and Agape Career Counseling Group, which is led by a good friend of mine, Deborah Russell. She does HR small business consulting. So you can check her out at agapeccg.com. That's agapeccg.com. And also tonight's episode is sponsored by my partner and I, Karen Turner. That's Karen with two E's. We both came together and not kind of, but we did launch a new product called the Career Accelerator Planner. This helps corporate American folks there who are looking to do better in tracking their performance, their worth, their value, their contributions in the organizations, right? How do you keep track of all that information that you do versus sticky notes and notepads and things like that? The Career Accelerator Planner absolutely does that for you. So definitely get you a pre-order copy at the careeracceleratorplanner.com. So appreciate that. And here we go. So tonight, definitely honored to have Miss Karen Williams on the stage, platform, on the live, whatever you want to call it. This young American professional recruiter, founded of her own staffing firm, her own diversity called Culture. Great name. Well, I'll definitely want to dive into that. But she is definitely trailblazing out there, and want to make sure that we bring, these folks to the forefront as much as possible to share their expertise, because she's on the front lines doing it as an entrepreneur. So without further ado, let me bring this young, dynamic, amazing talent onto the platform. Miss Karen Williams, how are you? You might be on mute. Are you on mute there?
Of course I am. Thank
No
you so much
worries.
for
No
having
worries.
me. Yes,
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm great.
Good,
Really
good.
good.
So let me first ask,
hmm
um, where are you out of? And I was about to say Austin. I don't know why, but
No, I'm actually in Nashville.
Nashville. That's right, Nashville.
hmm
I should have known from the accent and looking at your LinkedIn profile. But where is the accent? Nashville,
I am from
East
Memphis.
Memphis.
This is the Memphis accent. I
Okay,
guess you hear one, but I currently live and I reside in Nashville, Tennessee.
okay. Man, I didn't want to offend because I saw you was like, what?
Yeah,
So
I'm
I want to make sure you represent well, and I represent. That's Memphis. Sorry,
joking.
Nashville. You don't get to claim Karen. You do in the business, but not from a homegrown root.
Yeah, yeah.
So first and foremost, share with the folks, who Karen is, what cultural Advid is.
Well, I am Karen Williams, and I'm the founder of Culture Avid. But before that, I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I went to high school and lived my whole life there. And I went to Tennessee State University in Nashville straight out of college. And I was here, and then I went back home, got married, had kids. And ended up coming back in 2017. And so, in the midst of that, when I went home, I actually worked in staffing, and I did that for about 2 years, and then I got into corporate as a general HR representative, and so I did that for about 3 years, and then I decided to just quit my job in the middle of 2016 and say, I'm gonna figure out what is it that really makes me happy. So from 2016 to 2018, end of 2018, I was on this journey of trying to figure out what it was that I was good at, and I ended back up where I started. Ended up starting my own staffing company. My husband's a software engineer, and I would hear, the talks about how there was a pipeline issue, there's a shortage of diverse talent. And so I said, okay, well, I could do that. I can find people. I've done it before.
Hmm.
And so I started my original company was called Mentech Agency. And so
Yep,
Mentech
I
Agency
remember that.
is for minorities in tech. And just thinking about how I want to scale the company and be able to do more things for corporations is where we did the switch to cultural Avid. And avid just means someone that's enthusiastic about something. That's something they're passionate about. And so culture is what we really want to bring into companies, and understand that there's differences between everyone, and just want to just bring it all together. And so that's where the name Culture Avid came from.
I love that. And yeah, I remember you recently made
I
the
did
name
in
switch.
January.
Okay. So I remember seeing that. I remember every time I would go on your profile, it was Mint Tech.
It
And
was.
I was like, CA. What's CA?
Right. What's
Cultural
that?
Avid. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, obviously, same background. We both grew up and grown up in this talent acquisition recruiting space, and
Mhm.
we were just talking previous to going live that staffing and recruiting. And I love you folks that are in it, but I can never go back to it. I can never go back to it unless, right? You had your own
Mhm.
business. That's a different
Yeah.
it's a different beast out there. So let's talk about when you started and made that mental shift to start your own business, but
Mhm.
then really get laser focused to do it for diversity hiring. That's right. That's two different.
Right.
You can do staffing abroad and whatever, but you kind of got laser focused and like, hey, I'm trying to make a difference here, not just build a business.
Exactly. And I would say it's right. I could have just started a recruiting company and did all kinds of things in all kinds of areas, but I was very specific because I knew that there was an issue. So, of course, when starting a business, you want to make sure that you are solving a problem that
Hmm.
people know that they have. The reason I didn't do staffing before, so when I quit my job in 2016, I sat down with a friend and he was like, "You should do staffing." And I was like, "No, I hate sales. I do not want to convince someone that they have a problem and then convince them they need my solution." So when I sat down and came full circle back to staffing, I figured, what do companies already know they have a problem with? And that's one, having diversity, and two, it was in the tech space where you heard this buzz. It was always in the news. It was always, articles written about it. And so that's why I decided to go down that road, because I wanted something that companies already knew they had a problem with. They just needed the right solution.
Wow, that's yeah. So you went really niche in
Yeah.
that space, but at the same time, a really it's kind of I wouldn't say it's a catch or a buzz phrase, but it's a real movement now, where
Right.
we have African Americans, Black in tech, all these different platforms that are
Mhm,
good,
mhm,
but you're doing it from not building a necessarily tech company. But you're doing
mhm,
it through staffing or being someone who can jump into the space of a tech job at Google, which you're
mhm.
helping folks do.
Right.
You doing it from staffing, so that's still a bit of a unique way.
Mhm,
I have a partner. I would say a business partner, not a business partner, but a friend of mine,
mhm.
Kenneth Johnson, and I'll connect you to. He runs a diversity recruiting firm. He focuses on that as well, but he's up in New Jersey and New York area.
What's the name of his
But
company?
it's oh man,
I
put me
think
right
I
on the
know
spot.
him. No, 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 I'm sorry. I think
Mm,
I know him though.
yeah, Kenneth Johnson.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, yeah, I
should,
think
yeah.
so.
If
Sure.
not, I'll connect you to. But yeah,
Yeah.
sharp brother, and doing what he's do there. So I'm happy to see another a woman and an African American woman doing it. So
Mhm.
that's really rare. So talk about um, as you started that. How did you start to target your first few clients
Mm.
again, in seeing the vision for Cultural Avid?
Well, for me, I remember I quit my job in 2016. I had
Hmm.
the idea for Mentech Agency December 2018. So between that 2 years, I had started two other companies or two other business ideas or ventures, and they weren't successful. And it was because I did them on my own. I wanted to, figure it out on my own. I don't know why we get this. I don't know if it makes you feel more accomplished to say you did it on your own, but that was what I did the first time. The first two times. This third time, this was my last strike. My husband said either you go back to work, you X for a year is two, you can either go back to work or you figure this out. So I went to what's called the Entrepreneur Center here in Nashville.
Hmm.
I went through the Entrepreneur Center. They have all these different programs for entrepreneurs, and I went through their first program, which is called Pre-Flight, and it's for people that are just starting a business, need help with the idea and business
Oh,
plan, learning how to pitch.
so
That
it's like an incubator.
it is. It
Yeah,
was
okay,
like a
okay.
cohort, and you with all these different people. that's what made the difference for me this time, is because I had that community. I met so many different people, and just being there and being able to talk about my business, being able to talk to, they gave us advisors, and I met different people. And within maybe by August of that year, I was asked to be on a panel at a software school here in Nashville. And I talked about how, I had started my company, and I would talk to potential clients, and they would say, "Oh yeah, we're interested." But when I followed up, they never said anything. It was like crickets, right? And it was one lady in the audience, and she stopped me at the end of the event and told me she wanted to be my first client. She was not going to be
Oh, wow.
crickets, and she was the CEO, no, the CTO of my first company client. So I feel like it happened because it was supposed to. Had I started the company when a friend told me in 2016, I don't think I would have had the momentum. I wouldn't have had the support that I had when I started in 2019. So I think all things happen for a reason and in the right
Yeah.
time. And that was the difference. It was definitely having the support of people that had already been there, and all the different, advisors and things.
Wow. So that was about what, 3.5, 4 years ago?
3 years ago, it was I took the class January 2019 to, I believe, April 2019, and I
Wow.
didn't get my first, like, I got a client in between them, but like my first paying client was was that August.
Or was that a contract role or direct hire?
And I love that question because, so originally when I started the company, I was going to do direct hires because you didn't
Hmm.
need any back end, right? You just needed to
Correct.
find the people, place them, the company
Collect the
will pay
check.
you. Well, this first client, that's not what she wanted. She needed contractors.
Mm.
And I said, of course I can do that. Of course. I had no back end. I had to figure it out within a month, how to set up payroll, it just was everything. And back then it was pre-COVID. So people had to come in and fill out applications because they were going into the office. It was just a
Right.
whole, but it was a great experience because I figured it out. And I see what
Yeah.
people always say, well, if you don't know it or you don't have the tools, just tell them and figure it out. And I'm always like, that's not a good idea. But if you've
It's
got
real
the
life.
grit and if you want it, you'll go figure it out. So that's what I
That's
did.
that's real talk right there. That's
Yeah.
real talk. That's amazing. So, definitely congrats on that. That's huge.
Thank
That's
you.
huge to turn around, be in a cohort, then go through that, and then be identified based off a panel, and say, you
Mhm.
know what, I'm gonna give this young lady a shot. And
Yes.
then 3 years later, you're flourishing now.
Hmm.
Um, what have you seen throughout those 3 years in your recruiting background? So, for folks that are watching or catch the replay,
Hmm.
Karen is not 3 years of recruiting experience. She has a wealth of experience.
Hmm.
What are companies missing from a diversity um, hiring standpoint?
Mm. I think for me, what I've seen is a lot of companies are saying they want diversity, but
Hmm.
it's really, let's take Wells Fargo for example.
Mm.
We know they were in the news recently because they were having fake interviews for Black and women um,
Wow. Yeah.
applicants. So we have a lot of companies that are doing it because they have to meet numbers for their board. Um, and so they're not putting in the true effort that they would, because there's companies out there that are doing it right. Right. There are some companies that are doing a really, really good job. Um, but I think until they're really ready to do the work, then that's the problem. I've had HR people that reach out to me, they're women or minorities, and they're like, we really want to work with you, we want to get more talent in. And that's great. The person we bring in, the HR person interviews them, oh, they were great. We're going to pass them on to the hiring manager. But when they get to the hiring manager, it's crickets. It's, oh no, they weren't a good fit for X, Y, and Z reason. Or they
Mm.
make it past the hire. I've even had it till they make it past the hiring manager and they get to the team lead, which is, under the hiring manager. And the team lead says, no, I don't think they'll be a good fit for our team. And so the initiative is not being passed along through the team. It's just kind of at the top and it's kind of swirling around and it's not coming down to the entire team. So I think everyone has to be on board for it to be successful, right? It can't just be the HR manager or the VP of diversity. It has to be the people that are responsible for their team and the people that will train them. Like it has to be the entire like engineering department if we're talking about tech, right? So
Right. And you just teed me up for a great question there because you said it. It's the trickle down effect, right, from
mhm,
top level down. And
mhm,
where most folks talk about diversity, when this initially came out, and they were talking about diversity in organizations, they were really talking about at the C-suite level,
mhm,
the executive board level. Um, but now it's more widespread. It's still at that level, but in middle management, director level, senior director,
mhm.
going forth. What level of staffing does Cultural Advent provide today?
Well, you know what? We have done a range of, and now I think with the change, we were trying to be more um, streamlined with who those clients are, what
Hmm.
industry they're in and what roles that we fill. But we've done engineering managers all the way down to quality assurance and help desk. So I like to do those like help desk and QA roles because those are roles that help people like us that are just getting out of school get that experience. Because unfortunately, I am messaged, called all the time by entry level people that have just recently got out of a boot camp or just graduated and they can't find a job. And so those QA roles and help desk roles help them get their feet in the door so that they can then move on and get, other opportunities within roles. But we mainly focus on senior level roles. So anything that's, a senior software engineer up to, a manager or director. We actually was filling a director role earlier this year. So we normally focus on senior and up, but we try to do as much as we can to help support, us getting into, this field.
Okay. And based on your client I would say profile, but
Mhm.
current book of business of different types of business, there
So Culture
out where
Avid,
you're at.
yeah, so Culture Avid
Hmm.
focused on tech. So tech, healthcare tech, fintech, and tech companies. Versus before, we were working with all companies. We worked with Macy's and Dollar General and Eventbrite. So we worked with whoever needed the support. Now we're more focused since we're doing all roles and not focusing on just tech roles. We're focusing on tech companies. That way, we can
Yeah.
help people get into tech companies in all different roles. So if it's accounting or marketing, what we'll focus on are tech roles.
Love it. What are some of those conversations like with the hiring managers that initially, it's their first conversation with Cultural Avid, with you, Karen,
Mhm.
and they're like, okay, how do we bring in or how do we become more attractive to a
Mm.
diverse talent pool?
And you know
What
what?
what
That's actually the switch we made with Culture Avid. So that's what we do now. Now we say instead of us recruiting for you, we want to see why you're not attracting talent on your
mm,
own. How is your hiring process when a person applies all the way to the time that they're offered the job or rejected? What does that look like? And so a lot of companies aren't ready to do that work because that's harder than just having someone come in and help recruit for us, right? It's easier just to call Karen and say, can you send us some diverse talent? We send you some people, you hire one or two. But the hard work is actually peeling back the layers of your application process or pulling back the layers of where you're actually sourcing from. A lot of times they post a job on Indeed or they post a job on LinkedIn and they hire outside, sourcer, and that's it. Like there's some if you really wanted to hire people of color, if you really wanted to hire black talent, you would partner with Afrotech. You would partner with black men in tech. Like there are so many organizations, black in tech. There are at this point, it's probably hundreds of organizations that
mhm.
companies could partner with that are specific to each demographic. Even if it's a veteran you're looking for, or people with disability, there are organizations that cover all of those. But that's work. right? They have to actually do the work to figure that out, or hire someone like me to do the work for them and help them figure it out. But that's the hard work, right?
Right.
Easy just to say, Karen sent us 10, women for these roles versus
Hmm.
actually doing the work. Yeah.
Do you still get the sense that they're doing it from a check box
Mm,
versus, hey, we really need to shake up the culture, add, diverse thinking, thought
mm-hmm.
to the organization? Or is it still that, hey, we did our job for this year or this quarter? But I'll stop there. I don't want to say too much, but do you think it's more just of, hey, we checked the box and brought in or and connected and have a relationship with a diverse,
Mm-hmm.
central focused organization to bring
Yeah.
us talent?
And that's the kind of sad part, because I'll work with organizations and tell them about, hey, this is what we can do to
Mm,
help you better recruit talent on your own without having to outsource, or us just being a surplus and you're doing a great job on your own as well. Um, Checking the box, some of them are. And we try to weed them out as quickly as possible, because they can put on a good face, right? They come
hmm
in and they're like, oh, we've been looking at you and we think you're doing a good job. And some of them are checking a box, but it takes a minute to figure those out. It takes us to send over people, because to me, if I tell you, as a company, we're able to do an audit and tell you where there are gaps in your processes to help
hmm
you better your processes and systems, so candidates come through and have a great experience, and they tell people about their experience, and then you organically attract talent, and you say no, you don't want to do that, you just want to hire, that to me is a red flag that you're really not ready to do the real work. Yeah.
That's and that's a key point too, because you said an audit of your process
Hmm.
to see if you're attracting, basically diverse talent.
Hmm.
What are some of those processes that you can see gaps in clients?
Right. So for us, it's thinking about the hiring process. What does
Hmm.
it look like? When someone applies for your job, are they having to upload their resume, then go in and type in their resume? That could be a area right there that pulls people out. You have to think about it. People have so many options right now. If you're going to put them through a 30-minute application process, you've lost them right there.
Right.
Unless you're Google or Amazon or one of these huge companies, if you're not a FANG company, candidates are not going to spend extra time filling out your application process. And then the interview process. I have worked with some companies that have the most audacious interview processes, 6 steps, 3 hour, 4 hour interviews. Those things need to be assessed and trimmed down if you really want to get talent. Even if they're not diverse, at this point, no one wants to go through a 6 stage interview process and then not get the job, Orlando, and
Correct.
then not get the job. Can you imagine how heated this person is that has taken off from their job to interview with you 6 times, 3 hours, 2 or 3 times, coding challenges, doing homework, and then they don't get the job? Of
That's
course, they're
crazy.
going to go to Glassdoor and give you a horrible review because you didn't streamline the process and make it easier. I think, and I was just writing a LinkedIn post about this. Like, I think companies think they're doing a great job. They're weeding out, the
Hmm.
bad, or they're, keeping the people they really wanted and go through the process. But you are losing out on really good talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I share that a lot with hiring managers. Is that it's not tough to find talent, but
Mm,
what we're up against is the speed to hire,
right.
the
Yeah.
the elongated process of all that.
Hmm.
Like 6 steps, that's
Hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
I don't care who you are, even for Google or someone. That's just crazy.
Oh, I've heard some month-long interview processes for those big companies, two and
Yeah,
three
that's
months. Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
And then you get in, you're like, this is not what I thought.
Right. You left
This
your
is not.
job. You like, and then that's another thing. People are going from one thing to another, hoping the grass is green on the other side, and
Mhm.
then they get there and it's not.
Exactly. That's crazy. So, are you talking uh, with managers about maybe from a visual standpoint too, what their website looks like? Does it attract? Is it reflective of the community and who they are trying to attract, or it just looks, like a sea of just standardized posting white folks. I mean, I'll say it. I don't care.
Right.
But
It
does
is
it
what
look
it is.
just like the every Joe Photoshop website?
Right. So again, that goes back to our new stuff, right? So we have a framework of which we audit for companies. And the first part is A, which is for attract. That's their career page, their job descriptions, their social media, like all of those things. Oh, and their reviews on like Glassdoor. All of those
Mhm.
things are the attract phase. What is a candidate going to look at before they decide if they really think that this is a good fit for them? Are they going to your website and all they see is a sea of white? They don't see themselves reflected in the leadership. They don't see themselves reflected in your customer base that's on your website. They don't see themselves reflected even in a diversity statement. There's nothing.
Mm.
And you want me to feel comfortable leaving my job? I'm already kind of comfortable to come here and I don't know what it's going to feel like. So, yes, it's definitely something we talk to them about because it's crucial. And I don't know, I just can't imagine companies don't see that people want to see themselves reflected um, when they're looking for a job.
Right.
And I always ask when I'm interviewing a client, we're having intake calls. That's one of my top questions is, do you have anyone that's diverse in the interview process? Half the time,
Mm,
no, no.
that's a big one.
I had a client here in Nashville, it was a healthcare company, and the director was a black woman. And she sat in on every interview to make sure that it was fair and equitable. And I can remember she told me that she had to talk to her team because the way they talked to the woman, now with the director on the phone, she said the way they talked to the woman was completely different from the way they talked to the guy. And maybe it's unconscious and they just even didn't know because the director was there. Maybe they just didn't know. She said they drilled the woman where the guy, they were laughing and joking and talking about baseball and all kind of things.
Wow.
But the woman, she said they just so imagine if your director is there and you feel that comfortable to make those differences if no one was there that could really
Kind of
advocate for
balance
those
it.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, advocate. So it
yeah.
sounds like those were men interviewing both
Mhm,
candidates, all men.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
And was it all white men?
yes,
Got it. Wow. So you brought two African American candidates, one female, one male. The female was drilled,
mhm.
um, and the male was kind of had somewhat of a pass, and just like,
Right,
hey,
right. And the
these
guy
are
was
the guys.
actually Hispanic.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he was still a minority, but they were way more lax with him than, of course.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. This is no worries at all. So when along with that, you started to say something. I thought you said like an acronym. So A is for attract.
Oh yeah, so our framework is attract, connect, and retain. So it's the ACR framework, and the A is what are they doing to attract? And we talked about the website, social media, job,
Hmm.
hiring is like that. What does their hiring process look like from start to finish? And then the retention piece for us is not necessarily us developing retention strategies. It's the piece that companies miss. It is actually talking to and evaluating your current employees, right? How do they feel about your diversity initiative? Most companies have not even had the conversation with their employees on the teams that they're about to have these initiatives for, have not had one conversation with their employees or an audit, or not even an audit, but like a survey of how they feel, right? You have to think about if this is a homogeneous work environment, white males, maybe a sprinkle or two of white females, and you say, okay, we're gonna do this diversity initiative to bring in the LGBTQ community, Black and Latinx, and you have not talked to these people. What if you have like white Christian males that don't want? I just
Hmm.
think that
Hmm.
companies really have to be more cognizant of what they're doing. I know we think we're human and they'll understand it, but I think you really, if you want people to accept changes, you have to include them.
That's funny you say that because I experienced that not probably within the last 3 years.
Oh,
where something similar. So it was when the George
mhm.
Floyd incident happened. How long has that been
Mhm.
now? 4 or 5 years now.
No, it was
Um,
2000 when I started my company. It was in 2000.
it's wait, no, George Floyd.
Yes, George Floyd was in 2000. I
What?
know, 'cause
Okay, so
then
it
it
wasn't
seems
then. It wasn't
crazy.
then. No, it wasn't that long ago. I was like, but it was something more recent. I can't recall what it was, but
Oh.
our chief marketing officer. It was probably again within 3 to 4 years ago. Chief
Mhm.
marketing officer sent out a newsletter or a mass email to the company saying we're against this, we're against that. I can't recall what the incident was, but
Mm.
speaking, it was such a general statement though,
Mhm.
and I know him, and he circled back with me privately and it's like, hey, did you get a chance to see the CEO's email? I was like,
Mhm.
yeah. He goes, what do you think? I was like, yeah. I said it didn't speak to specifically the African American community in which this incident was hitting. It was
Mhm.
very general. You could have
Mhm.
copied and pasted to anything. I said it
Mm.
completely missed the mark. He was like, good to know because I wrote it. And I was like, oh. I was like, I was like, you asked me for my feedback, and I'm telling you, we missed it as an organization. We missed the
Right.
mark on speaking to diverse climate in this, in this, just in America, period. So I get it when you see companies that are doing what they're doing and just completely missing the mark, or like you said, checking the box
I
because
think it's easier to kind of
mhm,
just make a general blanket statement. That way you don't offend anyone.
correct,
But for change, somebody's going to be hurt, somebody's going to be a little
yeah,
offended. And I think if you truly wanted to support the Black community for whatever had happened, that should have been the verbiage you use. Black
mhm,
community and whoever's offended, let them show their face so we can know that they're not, you know, on board
exactly.
for, yeah.
It's like open up. Don't be afraid to open up that conversation, right? If
Right.
you really want to make change, you gotta
Mhm.
hit the tough topics. So
Yeah.
throughout your career and your in with your business that you're doing, what are some of the suggestions that you can give organizations out there that are
Mhm.
truly trying to develop a D&I program, or just say hire a diverse talent
Mhm.
pool?
Mhm. I would say if companies are truly trying to hire diverse talent, is to one, look inside before you bring people in. Make sure your home is homely and they will feel welcome. So I would say start with your current employees, survey, make sure everyone's on board. Everybody doesn't have to be on board, but I think getting them included in knowing what's going on and not just seeing, a big initiative slapped across and now they have to be in on all these interviews and they're like, it's just, I think we are creating this tear or this pull between each other by making it feel like one's better than the other, or now Black people getting all the attention because someone got killed, or it's just like it's always, and we've got to figure out how to kind of balance it all.
Right.
But I would definitely say start inside, and the number two is one of my things that I focus on is like understanding the candidates that you want to attract. So if you say
Hmm.
you want to attract Black professionals, understand Black professionals because people say diversity. What does diversity mean? Okay,
Yeah.
let's just go there because it's one of the chips I have. And I know I say I'm a diversity company, but I always say Black, Latinx, and women focused. But what does diversity mean? Companies can't just say, "Oh, I want to hire diverse talent." What is diverse talent? Is it Black? Is it women? Is it veterans? Is it like what is it?
Hmm.
Stop being afraid to say the words and say what you want. So if you're trying to increase the number of Black professionals in your organization, okay, now let's say where are these people located? Are you open to them being remote? Are you let's make like you would do a customer persona. Like when you're going out to get a new customer, you're gonna break down everything you need to know to better understand them so that you can talk to them so you can understand them. The same thing goes for your candidate. Now this is their market. They make the decision. So you really need to understand who they are. Where are they? Where do they hang out? They may not be on LinkedIn. And if they're on LinkedIn, are they in specific groups? Because I'm in like 30 groups on LinkedIn that are specific to Black professionals in tech, Black women, Black men. So, like, what are you looking for? And I think if they start there, one, understand their current organization, their department. So just say it's their engineering department, talk to their engineering department, do an anonymous survey or a survey and let them kind of understand what's going on. And two, understand the people you're trying to find. Because if it's Black professionals, we have different fraternities and sororities than Hispanics
Mhm.
or white women, So I think it's really understanding the people that they're trying to hire and not lump everybody in. If you're gonna say diverse, what does it mean? Is it women could be diverse? White women can be diverse now, right? That a white woman is diverse. So are you
Who
going
knows, right?
women or like don't try to sugarcoat and just say diverse and then you just hire a bunch of white women. Like what are you really trying to accomplish? Are you really trying
Right.
to level it out and hire more Black women or Black men or Hispanic women or men? Like what is it? And stop being afraid of using the language and being more intentional.
I love that. You said even now. You said white women are diverse. You don't know
Diverse,
which way they're going.
yeah. So companies need to say
That's
what they're trying to
hilarious.
do. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So, you said something that's cool too. When it comes to for companies, educate companies that for folks that are listening, and again, I always say that the replay, but for companies that are like, hey, we haven't done the homework to partner with diverse organizations.
Hmm.
Like, where can they start?
Google.
And we're done, folks. Right? Right?
Google University.
Right?
Yeah, just it's Google Black professional groups, and I'm telling you, a
Mhm.
ton will come back. I've done a lot of work just finding because I have to find talent for companies before,
Mhm.
right? So, when I tell you I am in Group Me, I didn't even think about it. Group Me has groups specific to
Oh yeah.
diversity.
Oh yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn. Where else did I? Slack. Like there are groups that you can be in for everything. And then if you really about it, spend some money. Go to some of these conferences, sponsor, put your name up there so people know who you are. I think another thing is these companies are sticking these job descriptions up on LinkedIn and Indeed, and people don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you. They're going right past your job offer because they don't know who you are. Get in front of them. Go to their conferences.
Right.
Go to their neighborhood. Sponsor something that they. If you're in the neighborhood and you're trying to hire these people, like what schools do they have? Where do their children go to school? Go sponsor breakfast. I mean, something. They have to get more intentional and more creative and just stop using the excuses as the pipeline is.
Karen said, Karen's fired up. She said, go sponsor a breakfast.
Right.
Like, go
Like,
feed these
mama,
folks. You'll get them there.
right, mama, this lady from Culture Avid came and they brought us breakfast. And mama's like, oh, who's Culture Avid? Let me look at it. Like, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you have to be more, think outside the
Right,
box.
get some hot cakes and eggs out there, or some pancakes and waffles and eggs, chicken and
Right.
waffles. And then we stop. I don't
Yeah.
put it out there like that, but yeah, but no, that's true though. The fact that we need to not just companies rest on their laurel, right, and
Mhm,
say we're the Amazons, whether this and again they do it and they will continue to do it because
mhm.
those are the giants. But for other
Right.
organizations who
Exactly.
truly, I love what you said. Don't just put together all this think tank and brain power and just say, hey, here's what we're going to put on our website and here's a diversity. Like launch out, like get out,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
that's the TA team. Put some HR, put operations folks, get out there and do something.
And
Just
go to our
initiate.
schools. I mean,
Yeah.
I always say HBCUs are not the only way to find Black talent, but there are some HBCUs that get no light,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
that have great talent, but nobody comes. They don't even know about them. And I feel bad as a Black woman. I didn't even know it was that many HBCUs in the United States
I know. I
because
know.
you only hear about like the top 10 or 20, and it's like,
And they underfunded.
so, right. If you really want to get diverse talent, you're going to have to spend some money because you got to go find them.
Man.
It's just, I think it was nine or 90 billion is how much tech companies spend on um, retention of diverse talent.
Really.
Yeah, because they lose so many. They have to. It's a cycle. It's over and over and over again. And instead of doing the work on the front end, you rather just do the easy work. bring in some diverse talent, have onboard them, and stick them in a seat. No mentor, no nothing. Just hope you do well, and they looking for another job in 6 months or a year.
Wow. So no retention program in there at all.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I will. I will shout out one company I work for, Amazon. They were good at hiring diverse talent and course management. I seen it, senior level across the board. It was excited to see that. But they also internally had multiple groups:
Mm-hmm.
Black this, Latinx that, LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
this, and I was like, wow. And this was like promoted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the groups travel. It wasn't just an online
Oh.
community.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen groups where it was, hey, we're the Black TA group. We're traveling to this Black tech conference representing Amazon. I was just like, wow, like they're really putting their money where their
All
mouth
right.
is and
Yeah.
supporting that movement. So shout out to them for that. So stuff like that, and I get it. They have deep pockets, and it's easier for them at
Right.
that point.
Mm-hmm.
But the simple things of the community outreach and touch points are like any company can do that, right?
Yeah.
Any company can do that who truly want to,
They
partner
could
with talent.
they could volunteer their time if they don't want to spend money. If you're a smaller company, you don't have the money. Okay, put a team together to go to the school and
Hmm.
tutor. Put a team together to do Habitat for Humanity. Like, it's lots of things that companies can do to get their faces out there. I mean, if it's a coding camp and you want to go, and I guess coding camps for adults, you can still volunteer and go and help them, right? It
Mm,
doesn't have to be kids if that's what you're trying to do. And then that's another thing, like
that's good.
talent, being able to take entry level talent, mid level talent, and train them up for the next roles. You need a bench, and a lot of
Right.
companies don't want to invest in the bench. They rather invest in the senior talent, but they'll only last for so long, and they're gonna take that knowledge with them when they move on. When it's better to invest in people that are young in their career, that are hungry, that are gonna stay longer as long as you treat them right. I think that's another missing piece. It's so much diverse talent out there that's in that pipeline that's kind of stuck in that entry level, mid level, and they're not getting any support. um, I just got a call, just random guy. He's found me online, and he's in a boot camp, and he was just like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay.
Coming out of you said at boot camp, like a
The boot
technical
camp.
boot camp. Hmm.
Yeah, he was still in the boot camp, and he was just trying to get some support. And I helped him as much as I could, and I was trying to get him hooked up with an internship. But it's the resources for us. It's just having the support. It's people taking a chance on you when you really don't have a lot of
Hmm.
experience. It's talent out there. They just need to be nurtured.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I
when it
won't get
comes
into
to
our prison system on if they will use some of those people and actually get them back in, but that's okay. I won't go there.
yep, yep, we can go there now. We can go there. That's talent. That's talent. That's reformed talent. Nothing wrong with that.
If we were
Get the
actually
job
reforming
done.
people. So
Get
yeah,
the job done.
yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
So with that, as you talk about, or as we talking about the diverse talent in tech, where are
Hmm.
you seeing, from your eyes, from your vantage point, which roles are being saturated or being drawn to more by diverse talent? Is it software developers? Is it enterprise architect folks? Where's that?
Well, the biggest draw is tech. Period. Everybody, if
Hmm.
the last year, it's been how to pivot, how to pivot, how do I get into tech? If anybody has a program on how to get in tech that actually works, they would just blow up, because that's the key that everybody's looking for. How do I get in tech? How do I pivot into tech? Whether it's a project manager, or
Hmm.
a QA, or a data engineer, like all of those roles are being saturated. But what companies are looking for are software engineers. Everybody's looking for a software engineer. So you have a lot of people going to school for that, because that is probably one of the top roles that companies are looking for. Software engineer.
And are you seeing folks make that switch who are not in the space but want to get in the space, or hearing conversations around it, that they're doing it more so for the love of tech or the monetary gain? Because the
Definitely
dollar is
monetary.
there.
Right. Definitely monetary is what I've seen. Because that's what people promote, right? When you're looking on social media,
Hmm.
that's what people promote, and getting a six-figure job in tech after just going to a boot camp. This how you can do like that. That's what people are promoting is the financial gain, which is important for our community, right? To be able to go and
Hmm.
but sometimes they sell them something that's not necessarily true.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people that have went through boot camps and or college and they still don't have a job in
Mm.
tech. So it's not it can be easy if you follow the right path, right? If you're not afraid of getting in there and really working, because you have to constantly learn, you have to constantly be making yourself better until you can land that role with the company. You have to be open to going to a startup. You might have to be open to taking under 100, entry level. Just you're not just rolling over and getting $100,000.
Right. Right.
You have to be willing to be open to what you can get. Well, I'm not gonna say that because I believe in getting what you're owed, what's due, what does the market rate for the role is, but being able to get the market rate is what I mean
Right.
for the role, but not being because that's all I see is glamorized on social is getting this $100,000 job, 100 plus in 6 months, and sometimes it's not true, and then people they're crushed when they went through this, and then they don't get the six-figure job that they thought they would get. Some people
Exactly.
do. Some people do.
It's almost like the IG life, right? It looks
Mhm.
pretty on the
Mhm.
outside to you. They're deep and they living in their mama's basement. They ain't really
Right,
driving that
right,
this
right.
and that. Like
Yeah.
every tech job out the gate is not six figures.
Right,
Um,
exactly. And I think if just we make that clear, it's not every job out the gate is not six figures, but you
yeah.
can definitely get there. Tech is
Hmm.
an area where you can get to six figures. You can make over $100,000, but you have to, stay focused and continue to learn and make yourself better and go to conferences, learn, start to speak, do projects, side projects, consult. You can just do so much with tech.
Right.
Um, I think that's why so many people have tried to pivot because we know it's the future and we normally get left behind, right? Which is
Hmm.
why
Hmm.
America is struggling now to fill all these jobs because 20 years ago, I don't remember having a
Mm-mm.
software engineer class option. I didn't. I had a typing class where they taught
Mm-mm.
me how to type to get me ready for like being a secretary or
Mm.
something, but to code, to develop stuff, I didn't get training for that.
I remember one class I failed miserably. I actually dropped the class in college. It was C sharp.
See, when you got to college.
It was supposed to be C sharp 101, but he was teaching us like C sharp 201. We're like, dude, what are you talking about? We have no. we looking in
Right,
the book. You giving us a project. We're like, wait a minute now.
right. I think that's also another reason why we so behind because we weren't preparing. They
No,
we weren't being prepared for the future, right?
exactly.
We
Yeah,
behind.
our coach was not. Yeah, in those conversations privy to that. But yeah, but
Yeah,
now we definitely have an opportunity.
exactly.
Uh, exactly, especially with companies like Cultural Advid,
Oh, thank you.
putting people out there. Absolutely. So share with folks because time has already flown by,
Oh,
which is
wow.
crazy. Share with folks how they can best contact you and
Okay.
follow your content because you're not just a business owner. You provide content on this LinkedIn space here. So
Yes.
what's the best place?
So yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's the Karen Williams. So Karen Williams, and I pop up there.
Yeah.
Um, and you can always find us at culturalavid.com. We are Culture Avid everywhere, of course. Culture Avid at Instagram, LinkedIn, um, Twitter, every space we have Culture Avid. And cultureavid.com. And you can email us at services or partnerships at cultureavid.com as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what's coming next for Cultural Advid? Because you went through some iterations of the in the how focused you're getting
Mm-hmm.
um, with that. So do you see something more like will you get into AI recruiting as well? Or is that already a part of that now?
Well, no, not necessarily. Definitely would love to provide some kind of SaaS product, but right now we are really
Hmm.
focused on getting companies on board with doing the groundwork, the foundational work of understanding where they are, where the gaps are, fixing those and improving their processes. And that will save them money, it will save them time, and they'll be able to recruit better, faster, and more qualified talent.
Now, even though I'm over here stumbling, but as we're wrapping up and you're talking, I'm hearing two different types of services you
Oh,
provide, and is that which is a great thing.
mhm.
Is it also a consultative kind of approach to the business owner, saying, "Hey, we can help you develop a more diverse
Right. So
kind
our
of program"?
SDR framework is
Hmm.
the actual breaking down of where are the gaps and then coming back with the recommendations and how we can fix it.
Got it. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Versus just say, "Hey, I got a perfect person for that senior software engineer role.
Yeah,
Let,
no.
let me
We're-
help you holistically."
Exactly.
Love that.
That
Love
way
that.
your process is flawless. They go through it and they're hired. The onboarding is good. And they're like, oh wow, I need to tell my friends about this. Right. Word just like any business, word of mouth is the best type of advertisement you can get. So if you have
Hmm.
your employees that's coming in and they're having a great experience, they're gonna tell other people about it. And they're gonna want their
Absolutely.
friends to come and join them.
Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. So, Karen, last question that I always
Yes.
ask folks: what is kind of a daily mantra or motivational thing that gets you up and each day and just grind to build your business and provide
Mhm.
service and value?
Well, I always tell people I have two beautiful daughters. They are 17 and 16. They'll be going off to college in the next 2 years. I'll be an empty nester. And so that is truly what motivates me. Like being a my youngest, it has always been the type to leave me little notes on the whiteboard to say, I'm proud of you. They are the ones that show everybody their mom's website. So they are extremely proud of me. Last year I was on the cover of a local magazine and they were more excited than I was. So
That's awesome.
those are the reasons. Those are the memories that I'm trying to make with them. So definitely will be my children, my family. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Karen, I absolutely appreciate you joining
Yeah.
me tonight, sharing your expertise, your value, your Memphis accent. Loved it. You're just authentic, right? That's you. Just you. You
Thank
get
you.
you. And building this brand, cultural Avid, to where it's really gonna make an impact, in African American communities in the tech space. So, absolutely wishing you. Uh, Continuous blessings for that organization and your family
Thank
to
you.
just go out there and crush it.
Thank you.
Crush
Thank
it.
you. This
All
was
right. So
great.
say again.
I said this was great.
I appreciate it. So I'm gonna close this out with a quick video again, and then we'll chat briefly on the back end. But folks,
All
good
right.
night. We will not be back next week. I'm actually going to take like 3 or 4 weeks off.
Ooh,
Been doing it straight for like 2 years. Need a little break. Need a little break. So you wrap me up. You're my last guest for
all
the next
right.
several weeks. So I start on a high note and end on a high note for a break.
Right.
Thank you so much, Karen.
You're welcome.